Hi, and welcome everybody to our A-Series webinar. We're going to go ahead and get started here. I will share my screen so we can start to create a part from our DXF and take it all the way to a finished part on our new A-Series Waterjet. So I first want to start out by introducing the A-Series a little bit. We have had this product out for a little while, but we've just recently relaunched with an all-new design. So I wanted to run you through some of the features there before we get to making the part. So the A-Series is designed to be a compact but full-featured water jet in any workshop. It's really designed with an enclosure in mind and to act even more like a workstation or a machining center than a typical water jet. The design being that you don't have to allocate an excessive amount of space around the machine in order to worry about splash or sound or other accessories that are added to the machine. So really this could be tucked up against the wall and used in a typical workflow next to a laser or a Haas. So you get the full power of the water jet without a lot of the complications and some of the hassles. So as you're seeing on the screen here, this is our new A-Series. This does come with the enclosure on there. So as you can see, full steel enclosure, and then you'll have a full viewing window. And this is actually our slide and hinge design, which Jeff will show you once we're out on the floor, in order to reduce the workspace that you need in front of the machine, as well as keep the top open if you're going to be loading in a larger or heavier piece. You don't have to worry about a cross brace to get in your way. This does come with an integrated abrasive feed. Holds around 85 pounds, which is about a bag and a half of your typical abrasive. It's a full continuous feed, so at any time you can open up the top, add in a new bag, and then continue feeding without having to worry about stopping cutting. Some of the other features. Now the A-Series does come standard with our Move motion controller. This is our new control software. It's really designed for ease in mind. It's drag and drop parts, touchscreen interface, multi-touch as well. It's really approachable, and within a minute or two you could train someone to drag a part onto into the cutting area and start a program. Jeff will show you a little bit exactly how easy that's going to be. So it is a helical rack and pinion design on the X and the Y, and then an Acme screw that is controlling the Z. So it is a servo Z, so you will have programmable control of the Z as well, which when we get out to cutting, you'll see that as well. It is designed for being extremely portable. Empty, you could easily pick this up with a fork truck or a hand truck and move it to any place in your shop. Again, it's designed to be able to fit into a corner or on a back wall and not really take up a lot of space, but still get that full cutting power. One thing that makes the A-Series unique to some of the other machines you'll see out there in this range, price range and size range, is the power of the pump. We do use a 60,000 PSI intensifier. Comes standard with a 30 horsepower, but you can upgrade to a 50, 60, or 75 as you like. But compared to the competition, the most you're going to get out of most of those systems are going to be a max of 45,000 PSI and really starting around 30,000 PSI. And what that's going to mean for you is that in a competitor's machine, you're going to be able to cut less in the same amount of time. More pressure means a more penetrative cut, and you're going to get faster cuts as well, which you'll see on the A-Series. So anything you could cut on one of our larger water jets, you're going to be able to cut on our A-Series. It's just got a smaller work area. Another option we have on the A-Series is the integrated water level control. With a touch of the button, again, as Jeff will show you on the machine that we'll be going to here shortly, you can raise and lower the water level about an inch, inch and a half difference from your low to your high. And that's just controlled simply by adding air into a ballast tank and then relieving that pressure when we want to lower that down. Now, some of the benefits of cutting underwater are going to be reduced splash, reduced noise. It's really just almost running without even knowing that it's running, which again you'll see. We'll do some cutting under the water here so you can see how tidy and how efficient that is. And if you go to our website, you'll be able to look at all of our specs here for our new A series compared to some of the competitors that you have out there. But really, we have designed this with workflow in mind to be comfortable to work on, easily accessible. We've opened up our long end of our 2x4, so the 4-foot area is open for loading material and unloading material, which really makes it just easier for an operator to reach out and have access to the entire cutting surface. So that really covers some of the design bits of the A series. So let's get into making a part and sending that out to the machine. So we're going to start here in WARDCam. Now this does ship standard with all of our machines, just a simple CAD program that does accept any DXF. So we're going to start with this bracket that we've got loaded up here. So we'll go ahead, and once we've got our geometry accepted, you'll see some easy path buttons here on the top. We can just click down the line, works kind of like a wizard, or we could fast forward and just get a part very easy. But we'll take this step by step. So going to the next, this will allow us to then set up what we want to cut. So we're going to be running this on our A series. We do have a number of different machines that can be loaded in here as well to match what you've got. And then we pick our material. In this case, we're going to be cutting 1/4-inch aluminum. But we do have a full material base, and you're able to add parts, remove it, do special materials if you've got a certain composite or alloy that you're working with and you want to set speed for that. Very easy to update and add to. Once we have our machine and our material selected, we'll go over to a tool path. Right now, it shows us what our accepted shape is there in gray. We'll go ahead and give that an auto. Now you'll see the red lines on here. These are going to correlate to a cut quality that we have here. So right now normal would be about a Q3 in our cut, when we could go all the way down to a Q5 for our smoothest there. So at any point we can click here on the drawing and we can decide where we want to put our leads or our lead-ins and lead-outs. So for this one on this tab, I don't really want it on this corner. I'm going to put it a little bit over here on the side. Actually, I've done a partial quality there, so I'll stop that. Get to my cuts here. So I'm going to just delete that, and we'll do our auto here. And get our contours. There we are. So I'll just move my tab to the side here. And if I'd like to change a few of these leads, let's say we want to make the inside bits a smoother quality, we'll go ahead and put that to smoothest, and we can always add our lead-ins wherever we want here as well. If we're looking for a partial quality, we have a particular side that we want to have at a different cut quality, we can very easily pick 2 points and add that into the side. Once we've got our toolpath set, we'll just go ahead and output a CNC file. We'll just click the button there and it'll allow us to save. So I'll go ahead and save this here. Just a network drive that's easily accessible through our network. We can also generate a report here if we'd like to. So we'll open that up. And this is just a simple report that shows our different cut qualities and our part geometry. Also tells us what machine we're going to be working on, dimensions of the part, so you can make sure you have enough material if you're putting that onto the table, what your abrasive flow is set at, your machine settings, and gives you some quick estimates on cut time. So this one says with rapids and dwells, our cut time should be a little over 2 minutes. So before we go down to the floor to actually cut this, we'll show you around the shop a little bit. So these are our live cameras that we use all the time for sales and different functions as well. But this is our sales model, just a larger version of one of our Waterjets. But again, what's interesting about our A series is the same material that we can cut on this larger machine, we're going to be able to cut on the A series, which you're going to see here in just a minute. A few machines being worked on the floor right now. This is our circuit board room where we do our short runs of our own circuit boards. What the benefit of that being that we can really drive down the cost to you, the end user, by doing short runs and having complete control over our process. We're not beholden to a 10,000 circuit board run, so we're able to add in new options and new features all the time to our short runs. This is our milling, one of our smaller mills, middle of the road mills, are Cincinnati. It's got some side beams or a Z carriage that's going to be up here to get worked on. We do all of our fabrication in-house. We have about 9 to 12 weld booths right now. So we bring in raw material in the front. Everything gets welded, fabbed, and out to paint and back here for assembly. So this is one of our water-only systems being worked on. And then there's our production WaterJet that's running 2 shifts a day, essentially cutting WaterJet parts for our WaterJets. So with that, we'll go ahead and toss this out to Jeff. He's going to show us a little bit about the machine and then run us through cutting a part. So I'm just going to make him the presenter.
Great. Thanks, Benji.
Hey, not a problem, Jeff. Thanks.
All right. So I've got a couple different cameras here, so I can show you around what we've got here. So this is seen here on the lower portions from my cell phone camera, and then up above we've got the pan tilt zoom. So this is the HMI that's on the machine. So it's pivots, it's touch screen, it's got USB ports on it. It can also do wired or wireless connection to your network for transferring of files. And then over here we see the enclosure. So right now, of course, the door is closed. You want to get in there very easily, slide that. So it's got 2 locations. So if you just want to maybe look in, check a part, you can just slide it about halfway open, and then you want to open it up all the way to load, unload material, slide over a little bit more, little notch there that the wheel slides past, and then you can pivot the door out. And when the door's like this, there's a little locking mechanism up here at the top, such that you can't pull the door out at this point, so you don't put too much stress on that hinge. So a very nice machine to work on with the enclosure. If we look in here, you can see obviously the cutting head, the heavy-duty Z carriage here, and then we've got our mini hopper with a slider for abrasive calibration. And then down here in this corner, we've got our water overflow. So when the water reaches the top here, the water will start going to drain. And right now my water's in my low position. So what I will do here is on the controller, go ahead and raise the water level. And then you'll see the water start coming up. And then as we're cutting and we're putting water in, then it'll start going down the drain there. And while we're in here, these are the clamps that we provide with the system for clamping your material like we've got here. So basically these hook on to the bottom of the job shop grate, and then you can very easily tighten them down and hold your material in place like we've got here. So that's the inside of the machine. Close that up there. And then as we come around to this side here, we've got the 80-pound bulk feed hopper there. So it's nice and compact, tucked away there. You can also get larger bulk feed hoppers like 400-pound and 1,000-pound hoppers if you need that sort of capacity. And then around the other side, here we've got our control cabinet, and then this is your connection for your air, power, and water. This hose here is for your water going to drain, and then there's another connection point there if you opt for the optional abrasive removal system. That's where that connects. And then we've got the low pressure, or the low clearance high pressure whips on here, so it can fit into places that have very low ceilings. And before we get cutting, I'll just walk down and show you the pump. So for those of you that aren't familiar with intensifier pumps, I can show you what this looks like. So this is the pump that we're cutting with today. So this comes in different sizes. The standard size with the A series is a 30 horsepower. This is actually a 50 horsepower, but we're running it as if it's a 30 horsepower today. So I'll take this cover off at the bottom first, and so we can see what we've got down below here. So underneath we've got our electric motor, and then we've got hydraulic pump, and that controls the intensifier up here. So Basically, we generate 3,000 psi of oil pressure down below. In here is a biscuit, and you've got a 1-inch ceramic plunger on each side of the intensifier. And when this moves back and forth, you get a 20-to-1 compression of that the water, so you get 60,000 psi of water coming out the end of the intensifier. Goes through this attenuator in the back to take out any pressure spikes, and then from there it goes over to the cutting head. So pretty simple design, easy to work on, low cost. So I'll just go ahead and put this cover back on, and then we'll go back down and show you some things in the Move software. So this pump can be controlled remotely from the controller. So you can very easily just turn the pump on and off from the controller, and either manually or through your CNC file switch between low and high pressure if the application requires. Alright, so I am going to go ahead and put this phone down for right now, and we'll just minimize that. Alright, so over here on the right is the Move software. So if I do want to turn the pump on, I've got a button up here I can do that. And there's also a button here if you want to manually switch between low and high pressure. Down here you've got buttons for turning water and abrasive on and off automatically via the program. If you click on this button here, you can manually turn water and abrasive on and off. And then there's this timers area. If you want to calibrate your abrasive, make sure you're getting the proper amount. You can either do a 30-second or 60-second timer for the abrasive flow and check that. So we'll go ahead and minimize that. I'm going to turn these on since we'll be using these via the program. And we've already brought our water level up as we've seen. Over on the right, it's got some useful buttons here. The Move button here allows you, if you want to do a incremental or absolute jog in any axis, X, Y, or Z, you can do that. So we do have programmable Z on this, so you can, in the program, tell the cutting head to move up and down between cuts if you want to avoid potential tip-ups. Position area allows you to save positions on the table. So this is the location that we're going to be cutting our part today. So I've saved the XYZ location. If I click on this edit button here, I can rename it. I can adjust these positions. So if I decide I want to cut in a slightly different spot, if I just jog a little bit, I can click on the picture icon here and it'll store whatever the value is. Can also save a position as a work offset. So this is used a lot for people who are cutting parts on a fixture. They want to cut the part in the same location every time. They can put one of these work offset numbers at the beginning of their program, and then all of the XYZ coordinates will be referenced from whatever this saved work offset position is. And then this here would show us a list of offsets if we had any saved. Zoom button, so if we're zoomed in, I can just click on this to zoom extents to see the extent of our cutting area. The follow button, this will keep this blue circle centered on the screen as we're cutting. We'll show you that as we're actually cutting. I'll just turn that on now, so don't forget that. And then we've got the ruler button for measuring. So once I have a part on the screen, you can click the points on the screen. It'll show you the size of the part. And then settings, so preferences as far as things like whether you want to display your G-codes and things like that in there. And then down in this area here, we've got buttons for jogging the machine. So obviously left, right, jog, front, back, and then also Z up and down. And then this bump button here, if I, first of all, to demonstrate this right here in the bottom, and the white numbers are our absolute positions. If I click on that and then click again, it'll reset this, so this would be absolute numbers. With these bump numbers, you can set a preferred number here, and each time that you click on one of the jog buttons, in this case X and Y, then it'll jog by that amount, and then same thing for Z. So that's a handy feature. And then if you want to allow Z jogging during a program, you can turn this on, and then you can jog your cutting head up and down a little bit during your program if you see you're getting too close to the material or too far away. And if I click down in this area here, we've got things that control our speeds. So we've got feed rate override. You can override your feed rate by up to 200% of the program feed rate. So if you want to cut a little bit faster, a little bit slower, you can do that here at the controller. Maximum speed that you want to be able to jog at. So this machine can jog at upwards of 750 inches a minute and cut at those speeds. So I'll just go ahead and set that for right now, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So it's pretty zippy. So for people doing water-only cutting, be a nice machine for that. It's got very rapid acceleration and high-end speeds there. So I'm going to just govern back my manual jog speed. So this doesn't limit my cutting speed just when I'm jogging around, not quite so fast. And then you can set a minimum also. And you can choose to work in either millimeters or inch. So that's that screen there. So we'll just go ahead and load a part. So first of all, I'm going to move to my start position. So I'll go to my position area here, click on where I want to go to, and then down here at the bottom, click on that position. So it shows me here with this little exclamation mark where I'm going to end up after I click on this button here, so I have an idea where I'm going. And let me zoom in a bit here on the cutting head. Let's see, I think that is number 2 here. There we go. Good. Alright, so we'll tuck that away. Click on our part button. So listing of parts, if you got a long list here, you can filter things down in the top here. You can start typing in the part name and it'll filter it down for you. So click on the part, click on the play button, and then that puts it onto our table here. And I can click on here to that out of there. So this is showing me estimating 2 minutes and 51 seconds to cut this. So let's see, pumps on, we're in position, we've got our water and abrasive on, we should be good to go. Famous last words, click on run. So see, we've got the programmable Z motion there. So on the left here, you've got highlights the line of code that you're on if you do want to see that. Again, that's something you turn on or off. And since I've got this follow button turned on right now, keeps this blue crosshair centered on the screen. If I turn that off, then the part is stationary and it shows the blue moving like the cutting head. So we've got different restart features that you can do on a program. So once it gets to this next hole here, I'll stop the program and show a couple of those restart options. So we'll zoom in here a little bit. So if you get part way through this cut and something goes wrong, heaven forbid, never ever happens, you've got different restart features. I can click on the part here, and I can either jump to starting points, I can jump to a pierce point, or I can jump to any point. And so what I'll do here is I'll go ahead and jump to any point, and so if I want to start cutting back here, I can just click anywhere on a line, and then to confirm that that's what I actually want to do, then I can click on this button here. And then once it's back in location, I can click on the resume button again. So if we do decide that we want to cut a little faster, can click down here, and I'll put in 125%. So click on enter, and now we're going faster. I'll just go ahead and turn off that follow for now. So it's very intuitive software, pretty easy to work with, minimal amount of training, and you can be cutting nice parts. And then when it gets to the end of this program, show you a couple of different options. Alright, and then I can click on level control, drop my water down. And there's our part. So I'll show you a couple other features in the software here. So once done cutting the part, it leaves this ghost image, which is nice because if you want to cut another part out of the same material, you can basically put the part on here, and then you can see where this part was cut, and then place it appropriately on the table here. So if I clear out my search box, I've got another part in here that's 1/4 inch aluminum, and I want to cut this, then we can, I'm going to go full screen here. All right, click on here. Let's do a 2-row by 1-column array. And then we can move it down. At the end of the program, I had my cutting head go up 1 inch. So if I want to bring my cutting head back down, I can go into my move area, and I'm going to do an incremental jog in Z, and we'll do -1 inch and hit enter. And then when I click on the move to button, then the cutting head will come down that inch. So then we're back into position, and let me go back to minimize this here a bit. Okay, get rid of that. And got my camera up, bring up my water level. Good. And then from there, if I wanted to drop back to my 100%, can do that. And then click on run. So, all I've got, unless there's something else you want me to show, Benji?
No, thank you, Jeff. I think that's wonderful. So feel free to send us any questions you might have on the A series, and always, you can contact us, sales@wardjet.com, with any questions you might have. And other than that, thank you for your time today, and everybody have a wonderful day. Thanks.